So the CX-9 has finally released inside Warzone, and it's taken a bit of time for it to get here, but in this video we're going to be comparing it to some of the best SMGs that are currently inside Warzone at the moment. If you enjoy weapon stat breakdowns and weapon comparisons, don't forget to subscribe to the channel as we try to reach our goal of 10,000 subscribers, and also click that link in the description down below and subscribe to our second channel. We do post extra content over there as well. Now, the main focus for this video, like I said, is to compare the CX-9 to the Modern Warfare MP5 and also the MAC-10, because these are two of the most popular SMGs that are currently inside Warzone. There are some other SMGs people are using at the moment, like the Milano as well as PPSH, but people mainly use that for sniper support. We're mainly comparing the best SMG builds. So before we get into any sort of stats, I want to show you the class setups that we use to compare these weapons, because that is very important, because these are the builds that we actually tested. So first of all, for the CX-9, and probably this is what everyone wants to see, of course, this is the build that we used for it. So this is the integrated suppressor you get with the barrel. This is the final barrel attachment that you unlock, and we did test it with this barrel right here. So you get the damage range, bullet velocity, and sound suppression. Then we use the 5mm laser. We wanted to make it very similar to that hipfire build that you get with the Modern Warfare MP5. And then we've got the Merc foregrip on there as well, the 50 round drums, because this is the biggest magazine attachment you get for the CX-9. And then we use the CX FR stock, because this is the one that gives you the fastest movement speed compared to the other options that are available. Now, you can remove the Merc foregrip and choose the tack grip or choose sleight of hand. That is what I actually recommend as the best build for this weapon. But like I said, we actually done the testing with the Merc foregrip, and that is just so it's a fair comparison with the MP5. Speaking of the MP5, this is the build that we use. So we use the integral suppressor, the 5mm laser, 45 round mags, Merc foregrip, and clap stock. This is the hipfire build, and this is the build most people use with their MP5s. Sometimes people take off the 5mm laser, put on sleight of hand, but there's not too much of a difference between the CX-9 and the MP5 builds. And then, of course, we have the only Cold War SMG that is on this list, and that is the MAC-10. And we use the meta build for it. Everyone knows this is the best build for the MAC-10 right now. AGC suppressor, Task Force barrel, Tiger Team spotlight, Raider stock, 53 round drum. The only slight variation to this might be removing the Tiger Team spotlight for maybe the Serpent wrap or something else, for example. But this is usually the best build. So the next thing I would actually like to get into is actually the TTK values. And this is actually given to us by jgod. So jgod's not actually made his video yet at the time I'm filming mine, so I don't want to go too much in detail with this because I'm going to leave that for his video. Of course, it is his content, but this is just going to give us a quick overview of what the TTK values are like with the CX-9. And what we'll be able to see here is the CX-9 is actually highlighted in blue, which is very convenient for us. And as you can see right here, below 10 meters, which is the most important thing when it comes to SMGs, the TTK of this gun is 588 milliseconds. Now, that is pretty competitive considering all the nerfs that have taken place inside Warzone. But even still, when you compare it to some of the other weapons in the game, it still doesn't have the best TTK. So for example, without any headshots in the mix, we're looking at the Akimbo M19s, which is the fastest TTK. Then we've got the AS Val, which we all know has the fastest TTK, but it's not really practical because you only get a 30 round mag with that gun. Then we've got the OTS-9, which is probably the next best kind of comparison to something like the MP5 that has a fast TTK. This actually has a slightly faster TTK than the MP5. Then we have the Milano. This is without the open bolt delay. With the open bolt delay, it's about 571 milliseconds, so closer to the CX-9. Then we've got the MP5, and as you can see, there's a huge TTK difference between the MP5 and the CX-9, so the TTK is not there with the CX-9, to be completely honest. Then we've got the MAC-10, and again, this is without the open bolt delay, so again, you will get a slightly slower TTK practically with the MAC-10. We've got the Psychoff pistols, which also kill faster than the CX-9. This is a single pistol. Then we've got the Fennec, the Cold War MP5, which does kill quicker, the MP7, which also kills quicker, and then the nail gun, which is not really practical, then the CX-9, the PPSH. Now, but another thing I want to focus on quickly as well is landing a single headshot. Landing a single headshot with the CX-9 doesn't really change your TTK, so this gun doesn't really have one of the best TTKs in the game. Similar to the PPSH here, that also doesn't change when it comes to a single headshot. But the only difference between the CX-9 and the PPSH is that the PPSH does have that insane Cold War movement, and that is why I would still opt to choose that weapon over the CX-9 in my opinion. Another quick thing I wanted to show you, and it's not really that important, but I just wanted to mention it, that on the True Game Data website, they do actually have the old CX-9 stats and what it used to be for TTK. So as you can see here, in orange is the old CX-9. We've got the cyan line, which is the MAC-10, just for a comparison with the open bolt delay added. And then we've also got the new CX-9. So as you can see, the TTK difference between the CX-9 and the MAC-10 is not much, like I mentioned at the start of the video. But as you can see, the old CX-9 actually had an even faster TTK than what it has just now. So they actually nerfed this weapon before they added it back in. So like I said, when comparing this to the PPSH, you're going to probably want to choose Cold War SMGs as much as you can, because you do get that insane strafe speeds, especially when you're not benefiting massively from TTK. So on screen just now, what you'll see is the overall handling stats comparison between the MP5, the CX-9 and the MAC-10. And what you'll see on screen just now is the MP5 on the left, the CX-9 down the middle, the MAC-10 on the very right. And as you can see, the CX-9 has an over 1,030 rounds per minute rate of fire, which is very competitive. Now, not quite as good as the MAC-10, but definitely not as bad as the MP5. The ADS time is super quick with this gun. You don't even notice a slow ADS, even when you stack on all the attachments on here. Then the mag size is slightly bigger than the MP5, but you do get that slightly faster rate of fire, so keep that in mind, of course. Reload times in the CX-9 are absolutely insanely fast, and keep in mind this is not using sleight of hand on this weapon, so a 1.6 second reload is really quick. Now, the main issue with the Modern Warfare weapons is the strafing speed, and we're comparing it to pretty much one of the strafing kings of Warzone, the MAC-10. And as you can see, the CX-9 strafes at 2.58 meters per second, and this is whilst you're firing the weapon. If you're not firing the weapon and you're aim down sights and walking, it's going to be much slower than this, of course. But the MAC-10 just flies. I mean, if you're using the MAC-10 and you're firing and strafing, you know that this gun moves super quick. And this is one of the fastest moving guns in the game alongside the PPSH. So you are comparing it to some of the best moving SMGs in the game, but that is something you have to compare it to, because strafing speed, I think, is really important inside Warzone, as it helps you win a lot of gunfights. Now, let's just compare the CX-9 solely to the MAC-10, because the Modern Warfare MP5 does still have TTK going for it, so even though it doesn't have the movement speed capabilities, you still do get some pretty good TTKs with the Modern Warfare MP5. Whereas when you compare it to the MAC-10, the CX-9 has very similar TTKs. The overall handling is very similar to the MAC-10, but then the MAC-10 just blows out the water when it comes to overall movement speeds, and I think that's really important to keep in mind. And then also on top of that, the CX-9 will have the slightly better hipfire accuracy, but it's not by much. Modern Warfare weapons overall do have slightly better hipfire. So the last and final thing that will separate these weapons on which one you want to choose and which one is the best option for you is going to be the recoil chart. Now, this recoil chart was taken at a 10-meter distance, and we used the class setups we showed you earlier on to make these recoil charts. And as you can see, we've got the MP5 on the left, we've got the CX-9 down the middle, we've got the MAC-10 on the right. One thing to keep in mind though is that if you're using these weapons at close range, recoil is not really that important. You're going to be landing all your shots with all of these weapons if you're at point blank range anyway. But if you are trying to extend the range as much as possible, the CX-9 is a pretty accurate weapon. So if you're trying to shoot at kind of 15 to 20 meters, the CX-9 is a pretty decent weapon at that range. The MAC-10 can also be controlled at that range, but it's got a lot of side-to-side bounce, as you can see. And then lastly, the MP5 does have decent recoil, but is not the best. Again, it's got a lot of side-to-side bounce. In my opinion, there's no real reason to actually go ahead and unlock this weapon. If you want to unlock it, this is the best build for it. But if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel as we're trying to reach our goal of 10,000 subscribers, and also click that link in the description down below and subscribe to our second channel, and thank you very much for watching.